There was a book I read, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years ago now, on mind sciences. And not necessarily the biochemical or anatomy studies, the neuroscientific studies, just the way that we as human beings interact with the things in life around us. Whether we react to sights and sounds and smells, or we react to emotions only, or we react to kind of a combination of all of the above. And there are a lot of people who, when they go through life, don't realize that their tone of voice carries as much weight as it does. That their knee-jerk reactions to things tell the rest of the world things about them that they didn't even know were true. I mean by that, there are many people whose underlying tone toward life, the decisions that they've made to love or to hate, are so obvious to everybody in the world but them. They miss the idea that when they react to someone based on their perceptions of that someone and not the true behavior or intent of the someone, they reveal secrets about themselves. I was talking to a gentleman just the other day and I said, when you go into a grocery store or a convenience store and you pull out your cash to pay the person across the counter from you, if you do that and you lay the money on the counter rather than put the money in their hand, if they're a person of a different color, whatever other race they may be, they feel slighted because it's been only a few short decades since the unwillingness to touch someone of another color was so heightened that you wouldn't actually put cash in someone's hand or exchange cash hand to hand for fear that you might touch them. And that underlying current is still there. And some people still take offense at the idea that, well, you wouldn't open the door for someone like that, or you wouldn't hand cash directly to someone like that. You wouldn't look out for someone like that to guide them in and out of a parking space or warn them if something bad was going to happen to them, or to put yourself in harm's way to protect them. And even if the intention of person A is noble or completely ignorant of that fact, if person B still harbors that memory that not touching my hand means that you think you're better than me, not putting the cash in my hand thinks you're better than me, the way that we receive that is sometimes entirely different because of our own preconceived notions, because of our own internal bondages than what was intended. Now, I want to move that beyond racism and talk about even in relationships between husband and wife, even in relationships between father and son, mother and daughter, brother and sister. There are a lot of preconceived notions that we come to this life with just by experiences that we've had. And we tend to assume that someone meant something that we have no idea what they meant. We read into what they said. And usually what happens is our response is less based on the intent of the other person and more based on the experience of ourselves. We seldom see the purity of heart of an individual who might be trying to do a kind thing for us, or honestly is just couldn't care less. They're not negative, they're not positive, they're just neutral as anyone can be. They have no malice, they have no desire to upset. But we, having been upset, having been hurt, having been wounded, having been lied to, cheated on, mistrusted, we come with our own preconceived notions. And so if they were to say the rose is red, we take some kind of offense at roses because the last time we got roses, someone slapped us in the face with them and the thorns ripped our flesh. Or the roses are red. Well, I don't like the color red. It makes people angry. Red is an angry color. Why would you give me red roses? So rather than being thankful for the roses, they're upset about the red or the thorns or the roses or You follow me? We often come into every encounter in life, traffic, rain, sunshine, wind, hot, cold, spring, summer, winter. We come into it with a bias of our own previous experiences, for better or for worse. And our attitude, which is a combination of our thought and our emotions, take us back to a time when winter wasn't a good thing, or summer wasn't a good thing, or fall wasn't a good thing, or all those stupid leaves I had to rake up. I raked up bags and bags and bags of leaves as a kid, and I hated it, and so I don't like fall, and I don't want to be where trees are. And do you see how we very quickly choose to hate things in life that have no malice toward us whatsoever? The leaves falling off the tree, they have no intent. They couldn't care less what you feel about them. They just do what they do. The raindrops falling from the sky, they're not chasing you down to ruin your life. The rain had no intention of destroying your white pantsuit. None at all. The rain had no intention. The mud puddle, it had no intention. And yet we so often mischaracterize the intention of life around us because we're reacting from a bad place. I want you to think for a moment what life would be like if we admitted and acted as if every emotion we have is our choice. Think about that for a minute. What would it be like if you could choose to be happy no matter what the circumstances around you are? Someone just hit your car in the parking lot and left no note. Can you be happy right then? Yeah, you can. It's a choice. You could choose to forgive instantly and move on with your life and realize it's a physical thing and no one was hurt and I'm disappointed about it, but I'm not going to let it ruin my day, my week, my month, my year, my life. It's a choice. It really is a choice. And it's something you simply have to decide to do. Now, will there be natural reactions of emotion in you? Of course there will be. There will be some anger. There will be some sadness. There will be some wanting revenge. All of those things are human nature to rise up in you. But it's the fruit of the Spirit that says love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and gentleness and meekness and self-control. Those things are not natural for human beings. They're supernatural. Those things don't come to humans without the Holy Spirit in their life. But we still have to choose. See, good leadership means first being in control of you. You can't lead anyone else if you can't lead you. Leading others is about influence, nothing more and nothing less. But that influence starts and ends with people do what people see. If what they see you do, if the emotions that they see burst out of you because you can't control them, are anger and rage and frustration and revenge, those are the things that people you're influencing are going to begin to pick up on, and it won't be long before they don't just pick up on them, they do them. And as they do them and you get frustrated with them because they're doing them, you're going to think, wow, why is it so complicated to get them to just behave the way I want them to? Because your job is to control you. It's to influence them, not control them. Leaders who have a lack of self-control, leaders who emotionally explode at every incident, leaders who project their feeling of disappointment, anger, frustration, rage on other people, influence their people to behave the same. And when they can't control themselves, they can't control their anger, they can't control their appetites, they can't control their decisions, they can't control their tongue. When they can't control those things, they influence people negatively. And when they influence people negatively, then they wonder, why is my team out of control? Well, because that's the direction you sent them in, because they're just doing what they see you do. But what if you had the chance, the choice, the opportunity, the power to walk out of the door of your house every morning, to step onto the street, onto the sidewalk, into the woods, whatever it is, and look around at the world and go, wow, how awesome is this place just to be alive? And I don't care if you smell the roses and the blossoming trees and the smell of the fresh water of the lake or the salt water of the sea, or if you smell the burning garbage of Kinshasa, or if you smell the dead animals around you or the garbage of India. Those conditions might be immediate and real and horrendous, and still, even then, the choice to worship, the choice to honor, the choice to be grateful, the choice to rejoice is yours. My mom used to use a phrase that I thought was silly when I heard it. In fact, into my adulthood, I remember recounting this phrase and thinking, I don't even know what that means. It was one of those old-fashioned idioms that you're just like, that's just so silly. Why do you even say that? Again, like many things, you find yourself saying to your kids that your parents said, and you think, why did I just say that? And then you realize, not only did I say it out of habit because my mom used to say it all the time, but there's a truth to it. She used to use this silly phrase. I would say, so-and-so is mad at you, or so-and-so is upset about something, and she would say, they have the same pants to get glad in. And I thought, that's just dumb. They're mad. What are you going to do about them being mad? And she said, they have the same pants to get glad in. Whatever it is that they got mad about, they chose to get mad wearing the same pants they're wearing now. They can get glad in those pants too. Those pants do glad just like they do sad, just like they do mad. Maybe you don't wear pants all the time. Maybe it's shorts. Maybe it's sandals or socks. So you got the same socks to get glad in that you got mad in yesterday. You have the same environment around you to get glad in that you got mad in. Whatever has upset you or hurt you, don't let it own you. You have just as much control over you as you want to have. Paul said, I was in prison. I was beaten within an inch of my life. I was castigated. I was thrown away. I was sent off to a desert island. Anything you can possibly imagine negatively going wrong in your life, Paul experienced it. And then he said, and in all things I learned to rejoice. Now you can be mad if you want to that they put the wrong name on the side of your coffee cup and the wrong thing in it. How sad is that? Maybe it's somebody else's cup. You can be mad that the person stole your parking place. You can be mad that your girlfriend didn't return your text message or your boyfriend didn't answer the way you expected him to. You can choose all of those, or you can choose to rejoice. It's totally up to you. And it is a choice. You could choose to be in prison and be happy. You could also choose to be a millionaire in a loft overlooking the beach and be ticked off at the world. Yep, you can. And you know what's really sad is that many people have chosen just to be ticked off at the world because they don't like the conditions that their life is in right now. They don't like the circumstances that surround them. They don't like the way life today feels. And what they missed is that feeling is a choice. Yeah. You can choose how you feel about what you have or what you don't have. It's all about your mindset. Where will you allow your mind to stay? Will you remain frustrated and ticked off at life and take it out on every person that you encounter from every stage? Or will you learn to step back and look and go, I have another breath, which means I have another chance to change my attitude, to change my opinion, to look at life differently. Another breath, another chance. Another breath, another chance. And every chance, every breath, every opportunity says, I can choose to be happy. I've been reading this book, Living Amazed, by James Robison. I just finished it yesterday. Tuesday night, we finished the study in his studio where he walked us through the encounters of this book, talked to us a lot about the understanding that caused him to write it and what it was about. It was a great companion to the book to be able to hear from James himself some of these stories and see the emotion. I mean, they're pretty good in the book, but to see the emotion as he recounted some of the people that he had experienced in life, the things that he learned from them, the major challenges and triumphs of his own living experience, the The relationships that people cautioned him against that turned out to be incredible blessings and incredible opportunities. And as he recounted those things for us, I underlined some of them in the book long before he started talking. I probably have as much notes in the book as he has in the writing of the book. But I want to share just a couple of ideas. Page 200. See, I want to help you refocus your vision so you can begin to see the hand of God in life. So you can see all of life from a different perspective, God's perspective. We need to have our vision restored and refocused. We need to be able to see life and people and our circumstances from God's point of view. Here's a simple way to start in every situation, whether at home, at work, at school, or in our community. Look for evidence of God's hand, God's purpose, God's character. Get in the habit of asking yourself some God-centered questions. What does God want me to see? What does God want me to share? What does God want me to do? How does God want me to respond? Accept his leadership, trusting him to produce the results and the response. And I could talk for an hour on that. As a leadership coach, I see even other Maxwell leadership coaches, especially those who are new in the process, who they've already diagnosed the problem and they have an answer for your problem regardless of what your question is. They feel like you're rejecting them personally if you don't take the action that they're giving you. They haven't asked what the problem is. They haven't diagnosed the problem. They don't know exactly how you feel about a certain thing or how you came to the conclusion to feel that way, but they already have an answer for you. He says you've got to trust God to produce both the response, meaning what you've said has impacted them, and the results. What will they do with what you've said? We weren't called to be super salespeople. We were commissioned as witnesses for Christ, sharing his love in our own personal testimony. And no testimony is insignificant. All are special and meaningful. The more sensitive we are to what God sees, thinks, and feels, the more open we will be to having him work through us, and the more amazing works we will see and be a part of. The one thing that I took as the overarching principle of living amazed, and James said it several times. The subtitle of the book is How Divine Encounters Can Change Your Life. That's pretty good, but I think the subtitle really should have been what he repeated many times. What he said many times was, there are some basic principles to living an amazed life. And looking at the incidences and the relationships that I've been advantaged and blessed to live through. This book isn't about looking at how wonderful my life was and wishing yours can match it. This book is about understanding that this is what God wants for all of us. God wants all of us to live amazed, to have huge connections, to have great opportunities, to see tremendous impact, to experience divine encounters at a level like no one could imagine. That was the original design. But we've chosen to hold on to a little bitterness. We've chosen to hold on to offense. We've chosen to be offended by. And because we've chosen those feelings, those emotions, those anchors in our life, disappointment finds us easily. That's not the way it was meant to be. Unfortunately, many times that's the way it is. But we have to choose to do something differently. We have to choose to feel differently. We have to choose to react differently. We have to choose to respond differently. We have to choose to anticipate differently. To look at a moment that's coming at us in life and think, wow, what amount of joy and peace and hope could I squeeze out of this opportunity? No matter how bad it looks on the surface, how much good could I squeeze out of it? It's a choice. It's a choice that we have to make. It's a reaction that we want to see. I hope you'll take a chance today in whatever circumstances you find yourself, whatever geography you find yourself, whatever relational circumstances you find yourself. Take some time today and ask yourself the question, if I could choose to feel about this moment, this circumstance, this condition, any way I wanted to, what would I feel? And then realize that you do have that choice. You do get to feel. You do get to decide how you approach a moment and what you're going to take out of it. Would you ask that God would give you his perspective on that moment? I believe you'll find some amazing things in your life when you do. I'm J. Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.